I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'd like to talk about the last and final sign, Pisces. Pisces is a mutable water sign, and water is the emotions and sensitivity. And being mutable means things are adaptable, but sort of like there's no boundaries. When I think about Pisces, I think about someone that doesn't know how to set boundaries because their emotional issues kind of overflow into everything. So they pretty much can become the doormat to many, to others. And because the 12th house has these repercussions, and it is the 12th sign, so it's relative to the 12th house, repercussions that can deal with letting go, being compassionate, being giving, but on the other end of the spectrum, they can be victims. So they got to watch that. It's not a good thing to be a victim. It means you're not taking charge, you're not being responsible for your own actions. But Jupiter is the planet that rules Pisces, using the old rulership, of course. And Jupiter for Pisces ascendants rules the 1st, and it also rules the 10th. So this means that the Pisces, their whole image, who they are, what they think about themselves, revolves around their career. This is the most important thing to Pisces, that they be known for who they are and what they do through their work. So that's important, and they usually have a strong desire to do something compassionate or helping or teaching, because Jupiter is the teacher and it rules their chart as well as their 10th house of their career perspectives. So Mars rules the 2nd and the 9th houses. And so therefore Mars is their money planet. Money will come to them suddenly, unexpectedly, and they're quite lucky because the 9th house does deal with luck and fortune. And the fact that this planet that rules luck and fortune rules their money house, the 2nd, money comes to them unexpectedly and just pretty much like a windfall many times. Because the 9th house is the father, money and wealth can come to them through their father. So the father is strong, the father is vivacious, and because it's Mars, they can be very high-strung. They can be sometimes in the military, not always, but they are very passionate about life, and they can ultimately bring them great wealth. Venus rules the 3rd and Venus rules the 8th. This is by and large the worst planet for Pisces, just as Virgo has Mars, ruler of the 3rd and the 8th. Here for Pisces, Venus is the planet that rules the 3rd and the 8th. So it's not as extreme because Mars is a malefic. Venus is a little softer by the fact that it rules the 3rd and the 8th. So it can come up unexpectedly and cause problems, not so blatant as Mars would. But Venus is, by the fact that it rules the 3rd house, and the 8th house, there's problems and issues through brothers and sisters. It's not so radical, but you will find probably through excess or maybe addictions, there's problems with a sibling that will be noted in life, or maybe a distance or disconnect with their siblings at some point in their life. Because the 3rd house is how we relate to people, how we communicate. The fact that it rules the 8th house, Pisces has a problem with trying to get people to hear them or to understand them. They just don't know how to relate or to communicate where people don't have misunderstandings with them. And that's how sometimes Pisces can appear to be a bit strange to others, because they just can't get the information across to people in the right way. Then I'm looking at Mercury, which rules the 4th, which rules the 7th as well. So Mercury, by the fact that it rules the 4th and the 7th, it's ruling angles aside from the Ascendant. So Mercury will lose its power to help out this individual. And many times they can have some kind of connection where they are attracted to someone, this is in a male's chart of course, where their partner will remind them of their mother. Because remember, the 4th house is the mother and the 7th house is marriage and relationships. So they somehow end up on some level marrying their mother. And then they're searching for a sense of security, 4th house, to their partner. So they search for a partner that can provide them with stability and security and a good home. So that's how I see that connecting. Also, the 4th and the 7th can actually mean that real estate, 4th house, can come through a partnership or marriage. The moon rules the 5th house. And people with Pisces as their ascendant, the moon is fertility. And what I find is, even though you would expect people with Pisces as an ascendant to have many children, for some reason they usually just have one. It's not always, don't get me wrong, but I've seen this more than not. And because of this, I feel like they are overly sensitized towards their children. And I have heard on one occasion someone with Pisces ascendant saying, I just don't feel like I could love another child as much as I love this child. So they stop at having one. But the moon ruling the 5th house can be very indicative of a fleeting mind, a mind that changes their perspective and their thoughts, and their thoughts move quite rapidly because of this. And the moon being such a personal point, they are very creative in their own way, in their own light. They see things from a different perspective, and they say things that other people go, how did you think of that? Because they are very intuitive and introspective in the way that they think and process information. Now the sun rules the 6th house. So they are usually always involved in some kind of dealings with health and healing. They're hard workers. They put their whole heart and soul into the work that they do, but they are very health conscious. This becomes a priority, how they take care of themselves, how they exercise, how they run their life, and their daily habits are important. They focus in on that, and consequently, this can give a strong constitution because of this. And last but not least, Saturn. Saturn rules the 11th and Saturn rules the 12th. Because the 11th house ruler can cause problems for an individual, and it rules the 12th house, I gotta say Saturn is probably their most difficult planet. So that would deal with the fact that they don't have, or that friends are not as close as you would think. They really kind of limit the amount of friends that they have because they don't want a lot of people to be in their life. They're very complicated, and they want to have only close old friends in their life. They just can't handle a lot of people because this is the social aspect of Pisces, Saturn ruling the 11th, but it also rules the 12th. And the 11th house deals with groups and organizations, and the 12th house can deal with very spiritual organizations. So they will be drawn to being a part of spiritual organizations. But because the 12th house deals with charities, they will be a part of charitable foundations, possibly raising money, nonprofit organizations that help the needy and people around the world, which is the 12th house. 12th house is other cultures, foreigners, and it also deals with charities. And the 11th house are the groups. These are the type of groups that they want to be a part of and involved in. So with that, probably the very best planets for Pisces as the ascendant would have to be Jupiter, the moon is very auspicious here, and Mars, by the fact that Jupiter rules the first, the moon rules the fifth, and Mars rules the ninth house. So these are the most auspicious planets here. But probably I'd have to say, if I had to choose one, I really like Mars, because Mars brings blessings and luck. The worst planet, of course, I said, is Saturn. And likewise, the other planet that would cause great problems, I probably think this one's worse actually, is Venus, by the fact that it rules the 3rd and the 8th. And Saturn can cause problems by the fact that it rules the 12th and the 11th. So with that, I'd like to close. I hope you've learned more about the sign Pisces. And if you would like to learn more information on astrology, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to seriously learn Vedic astrology, go to my university site, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.